Yo, what's going on? I'm Marcus. You're at the channel of the Free Dad, where we're following my family's financial freedom journey as we are going to become first generation millionaires. In today's video, I just wanted to chop it up and talk a little bit about something different. Normally you breaking down the budget, or normally we on here talking about something finance related in the news. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the norms that society try to put on us and why society wants you broke. The actual title that I wanted to use is why society wants you broke and why you shouldn't give a damn. But I thought about it and I was like, maybe the YouTube algorithm may not be too favorable for the curse word. So let's go ahead, dive in. Brother got to pull up his notes and everything because I don't do it off the cuff like that. But at the end of the day, when we think about it, if how we moved financially were completely up to the government or society as a whole, everybody would retire at the age of like 85, and you would probably have just enough money not to be mad poor, but just enough money to get by. And I appreciate everybody who tuning in and the whole nine. I appreciate y'all. And so, we want to talk about where did this culture come from? And it's crazy because we stay in a society of comparison and consumption. Everything that's our society, our economic structure is built on is comparison and consumption. Even on social media, if you can compare yourself to the next person on social media, you compare yourself to the picture, if you can compare yourself to the neighbors, if you get caught up in the comparison game, this is just what it is. This is what they push. If you get caught up in a comparison game, the next stage logically is consumption. Wow, I want to have what they have, and so let me go ahead and cop this. Let me go out and purchase that. Let me go ahead and buy this so I can feel good about myself. So it's a real cool game. I mean, it starts soon as you're a kid, as soon as you leave the house, right? Like think about it. When you're a child, or you have children, if y'all parents out there, parents, the first influence that a person ever has is going to be from their family, the people in that house. But once they hit preschool and walk out that door, is a wrap. Because that's when you're going to have the influence from friends, the influence from what they see other people do, the influence from other adults, from other kids, from as they get exposed to TV and electronics. And so it's a real big comparison culture. Now the question is, why is it a comparison culture? Why is this something that's so pervasive in society? And this is just, my logic, my rationale of thinking, and this how I look at it. It's kind of like the Matrix. Y'all ever watched the Matrix? You know, uh, hey, what's good? Thanks for joining in. It's like the Matrix. When you watch the Matrix, somebody come to you and like, hey, you could go through door number one and keep living in this, make believe situation that we got going on, or you can go through door number two and see what it's really like. But once you go through door number two, you may regret that you kind of went through door number two. And that's just kind of how society is when it comes to the consumption, when it comes to the comparison. If we can always have you comparing yourself to the next person and wanting to consume more so you can feel better about yourself, so you can feel superior to somebody else, we can get you in a cycle of work and debt that'll really allow you to never have any type of freedom or peace of mind. Now it's interesting because, a lot of people throw around the word financial freedom, like financial freedom. And one day I sat down and thought about it, and everybody may differ on this. I may throw a link in there so somebody, if y'all want to jump in and we can chat it up, chop it up about it. But the question is like, what is financial freedom? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's really only one way to have. There's two ways to have financial freedom, in my opinion. Either you like a second or third generation multimillionaire, so you just were kind of born with it, or you attain a level of financial security where you have zero debt. I'm talking about like, I'm not talking about debt free light where you don't have any debt, but you have just a mortgage. I'm talking about the whole debt free extra where you don't have any mortgage, you don't know anybody anything but taxes and utilities, and you have enough money set aside to where all of your expenses and some of the things that you want to do can be taken care of. So the question is posed is there anything truly like financial freedom? If I'm retired, but I got to sit in front of my computer all day and trade stocks and day trade and try to catch pickups of crypto and stocks on the low and trade it when it's high to actually make a living, like for me, I don't think that's financial freedom. Honestly, I'd rather do the work that I do because I'm blessed that I don't, really hate my job or nothing like that. But I'd rather do the work that I do than have to do that. But to me, just because you don't have a 9 to 5, if you're day trading, if you're still working at your own business, that falls outside of the financial freedom realm, just kind of based on my definition. I know everybody looks at it differently, but the end game is that, society's comparison and consumption, that's the blueprint that's pushed. And the whole reason they push that is so you can kind of get stuck in that cycle. You have a cycle of I want this, I need this, or something is sold to you like how it was to me. Like I don't know about y'all, but when I grew up, it was kind of a it was kind of an unwritten thing. Like, oh no, you going to college. Like, my parents didn't go to college, their parents didn't go to college. So it was pushed on me like you gotta go through college, you're gonna go to college and you're gonna graduate through any means necessary. I don't care if you gotta sign loans for three. Look, I don't care if you gotta sign, yeah, me. I don't care if you gotta sign loan for $333,000, you're gonna get this education. So in pushing this consumption and comparison, and the reason why was that pushed on me? Why was that philosophy? Because in order to qualify for this job, you have to have this degree. In order to be competitive in this economic marketplace, you have to have these credentials, which we all know now. And especially if you're watching this channel, that's a complete BS. Even though a vast majority of millionaires do have college degrees, there's nothing, in my mind, I don't think there's any real correlation between the actual having a degree and actual financial success. I think it just breaks down and it depends on how you want to move. And so, what we have to know is that whatever the end goal is for society, or the agenda that wants to be pushed, just think about it. Let's think about, society pushes marriage. We want people to get married, and it's clearly obvious. Anything that the government wants to happen is going to be pushed. Why would you say why? Oh, people probably like, why are you saying that? Society wants people to get married. I mean, it's not me saying it; it's the tax code. If if Stan, a single guy, buys a house, and you have the Johnson family, a married couple who buy a house. When it's time for them to sell that house, they both bought the same house, the same cost, in the same neighborhood directly across the street from each other. But because poor Stan over here is a single guy, he is only going to get $250,000 of his profits tax free. But that married couple who purchased that home together is going to get 500,000 or up to $500,000 of the profits on that sale tax free. So certain agendas are pushed, certain things are pushed, and I think the bottom line and the reason why these things are pushed is to fuel the economy. You can't have. Let's just be realistic. If everybody, if everybody in the world decided to say, well, it may not be true, but for the most part, I think the thought is if everybody in the world decided to live off less than what they make, decided to make smart decisions with their money, decided to, have an emergency fund and not rely on credit only unless it's the purchase of an asset like a house or land or to invest something in their business. I don't know. Those guys on Wall Street probably think the economy would collapse. Like that, I think that the thought is as long as people are spending, as long as things are moving, we can always drive this economy forward. So I think there's a real fear of actually teaching financial education from a young age. I think there's a real fear of providing incentives for people to have financial education, which is, I mean, at the end of the day, if you really think about it, that's crazy as hell. I mean, like, it's it's crazy as hell to actually think about that. Like, at some point, let's just think about it. The Fed creates money to inflate the market or to prop up any company or any particular sector that they want. But you mean to tell me that it wouldn't be advantageous to create a program that, hey, if you can create a balanced budget for your household and do it through an app, and you can get rewarded for balancing that budget. That would make so much sense. It would make so much sense to teach kids in elementary school, kids in high school, how to budget, how to invest, what compounding interest is. But unfortunately, a lot of people are going to have to learn those lessons, kind of the way I learned it from, getting kicked in the ass when I go out there and make a bunch of mistakes. And so, I did this video on TikTok, and it was a real short video, but it was talking about financial myths. And it was like, what is one financial myth? I named the top three financial myths that I heard. And it's crazy because I still hear my parents say these things to this day. So, myth number one was that the stock market is only for wealthy people. Like that's myth number one. And I will say I can understand why older generations may have that idea, because at one point we couldn't go on that app or just go on that phone and buy stocks. You had to actually make a call to some Yahoo who was down on Wall Street, who was screaming in the crowd, waving a sheet of paper. So I can understand how that myth got pushed and continue to get pushed. But that's myth number one. Investing is only for wealthy people. Uh, Myth number two, this was probably the biggest one. Oh, hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, everybody love LL Cool J. I was looking at a comment here. Somebody said the LL Cool J post got a lot of views. That's the reason. That's the whole reason. As a sidetrack, that's the whole reason why I post shorts. And I don't know if y'all peep the pattern, but essentially what I do is, on any day where I don't create a long form content, something about finance or talking about a topic or talking about my financial journey, I'll put a short video out related to finance. And I think I mentioned this before, but me and LL Cool J could say the same exact shit or say the same exact thing, but people are more prone to listen to Lady Love Cool James than they are to listen to the Debt Free Dad. So I'm gonna go ahead and let LL Cool J and Steve Harvey and let all those folks be the mouthpiece for the message I want to get out. Because at the end of the day, I don't really care who they hear it from or who they take it from, as long as they get it, as long as they pick up the jewel or the information that's being dropped. And so, myth number two. Let me get back on track. Myth number two, like I said, was that you're always going to have debt. The whole point of working is to pay off bills, and that was just inevitable. And myth number three was that there's no such thing as retiring early. And I mean, these are all things that I actually heard come out the mouths of adults that were told to me as a child, or either when I was in middle school or high school or something like that. So, it, it's crazy that we kind of have those myths out there, and those myths are still getting pushed. And this, I mean, damn, it's 2020, dog. Like, come on, you could Google something, but that's just kind of how it is. And it's funny because I don't know if y'all seen a new Kendrick Lamar video, but Kendrick Lamar got this video. It's a dope video too, and he's going through all these changes where he's like Kobe Bryant one moment, and then he's a hip hop artist who maybe passed away. But I was watching that video because everybody was talking about it on the news, and on social media. And when I watched that video, it was interesting because I'm a guy who like listens to the lyrics. I don't listen to all this mumble rap and beat stuff. I need to hear the lyrics, and you have to be saying something. And it's funny because what he said in that song, it was really deep, because essentially that song is saying that a lot of times we confuse, you know, growing up in a painful situation with what culture is, and that's not culture. That's actually just a painful situation. It's just a bad habit, but it's definitely not a culture. And so, that's kind of what it is. We think we grew up in cultures of poverty, but we really didn't grow up in no damn culture of poverty. We grew up around bad habits and people talking and passing on, bad myths related to finance and everything else. And so, it's funny because I don't know how many people fall into this category. Me, hey, I love my family. I love kicking it with them, but somebody in every household, in any family, in any generation, is the person who's going to be the person is going to be the person whose sole job it is to break generational curses. And I don't care what the curse is. The curse could be a financial curse. It could be a curse that your family may carry on with, bad health habits. So, people may suffer from heart disease or something based on bad habits. It could be alcoholism. It could be a family curse that's passed on where people marriages don't work. It could be anything, but if you're kind of that awkward person who see things differently, you're kind of to yourself, you always think outside the box. A lot of your family members think you're weird. If you're kind of that person, you need to clap it up and give yourself a round of applause, because if that's you, you kind of that outcast, you kind of think different. That means that you're the lucky person whose sole job it is, who's going to break whatever generational curse is holding your family up. So, you got to kind of look at it as like, that's something that's dope. Now, just because you're going to break a generational curse, don't mean you ain't going to fall on your face a couple of times. You know what I mean? I made up my mind that I wanted to change up and break up a generational curse related to finances. But trust and believe, that don't mean I didn't make any financial mistakes that were stupid. That don't mean I never bought a stock that went to zero. Yeah, I bought a stock and held it until it went to zero. I mean, I woke up in the morning and it was absolutely nothing. It was crazy. I was sick to my stomach. It was crazy, but I would say it was actually the first stock I ever bought, if that's any consolation. But it's just one of those things where we have to think different, we have to move different. And unfortunately, a lot of times thinking different and moving different, it could result in you being, like looked at as an outcast, looked at as a weirdo. It's funny, I got a video on YouTube, and there's a video I made a while ago, like when I first started my channel, and it was like, is law school worth it, right? And for some reason, I guess a lot of people go to law school. Law school is one of those things where parents tell them they're going to be attorneys from the time they could walk, like my mother did me. So subconsciously, you think like, damn, maybe I meant to go to law school. But when you're looking at higher education, like law school, getting a master's, a lot of times it's like a placeholder. Like, man, I don't really know what the hell I want to do, and the economy kind of sucks. So let me go ahead and go to school in the meantime until either the economy open back up or things get better and I make up my mind as to what I want to do. So, somebody left a comment on that video, and that video get mad views and a lot of comments. And somebody left a comment on there, and it was interesting because this comment was talking about how much being an attorney sucked. You know what I mean? And I think everything is kind of perspective and how you look at things. And I tell y'all, ever since I ended up having to sit in the ICU for some weeks and have multiple brain surgeries, I don't got too many whats to care about a lot of things outside of family, religion, finances, close friends who I would throw in the family category as well. Outside of those four things, is nothing to really go on, especially at my job, that's going to control my emotions to a point where I'm just frustrated every day. I mean, the comment was wild. It was like, oh man, you won't like being an attorney much longer. What do you do? And, I just can't wrap my mind around it. I've never had that much stress at a job. And, I've never had that much stress at a job, and I had some terrible jobs. I mean, I was in the war zone. That's point number one. Won't go into the details, but that's not a great job unless you like, doing war zone stuff. I had a job once where I worked down south, and it was called spotting cotton. It was the worst job in the world. You had to get up at like 5:30 in the morning, because after 11:30 you couldn't be out there, and you had to literally walk down these huge fields. And anytime weeds grew where the pesticide can reach, you had to have on gloves and you had to physically pull them up with your hands. I was like, man, I did that. Now I was probably like 15, 16, making like $20 an hour, which was a hell of a lot of money. I damn sure came back and bought my car when I was in high school. But I've never had a job, and I've been in some stressful jobs. I had jobs where I was in meetings with presidential appointees and the whole nine. And there's never been anything at a job that stressed me out to a point where it's like so much frustration. And I think kind of the reason is because I don't like to have I don't like to let other people be in control of my emotions. That's something I always try to stress and explain to my son, because the drop of the hat, something that happens, something that someone else does, he'll get angry over it or he'll get down on it. And I'd be like, dog, you can't let external factors that you can't control have so much control of how you act, how you're maneuvering, how you feel. Like you just giving them too much power. And that even goes into your finances. Like, okay, inflation is 8.3% or 8.9%. But you know what? I don't give a damn. I don't care that inflation is 8.3 or 8.9% because I feel confident that how I'm moving with my finances and what I'm doing is it inflation proof? No, but I'm not over leveraged. So if inflation reaches 10%, we still going to eat. We may not get Apple Jacks. We may go to the no frills line and get Apple Dapples, but we still going to eat. We still going to have a roof over our head. It's kind of the same with the housing market. I was talking to a friend who purchased a home and they got an interest rate of like 6%. And think about it, 6% used to be a great interest rate. Now you hear 6%, like, man, that's high as hell. I ain't paying no 6%. But if you're actually doing it the right way, you're going to purchase a house, you really shouldn't be concerned with the interest rate that much because the house that you're buying is going to be a house that falls within the parameters of what you can afford and what's in your budget. And that's going to be based around what the interest rate is. So we can't let external factors control what we do. And that debt cycle of compare yourself to somebody. Get something to make you feel better. Get something so you can feel better than your neighbor. Go to work to pay all that stuff off that you didn't have the money to get in the first place. If you can set yourself up to get out of that cycle and break free of just the norms that society put on you with finances, I think that's real freedom. Like to me, real freedom. Like I know my wife wants to. My wife got a good job. She makes good money. She wants to be a social worker. You know what I mean? And this kind of her, not me, but this is just kind of what it is because she's not comfortable with it. I'm like, if you want to be a social worker, go ahead and be a social worker. Now let's keep this real. Let's talk about being a social worker would be a 60, let's say at least a 50, maybe a 60% pay decrease. But I think if you have the luxury to do what you want to do and if you think that'll make you happy, go ahead and do it. I mean, that's a blessing to be in that position, take advantage of it. But she's not gonna pull the trigger. So, it's me. I feel like I'm saying the right things as a husband, what a husband should say. Hey, if you want to go do that, go ahead and do it. I don't give a damn if you gotta go to school. I'm pretty much, unless my wife got like a cockamamie idea, like she want to become a wrestler or something like that. For the most part, do what you want to do. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom at one point. So I was like, okay, you want to be a stay-at-home mom? After about 12 months, she was like, I don't want to. After about 12 months, she was like, I don't want to do that. And that was when the kids were younger. I'm out and about with adults and I'm coming back home talking about all these crazy things that's going on. And, I think she was just kind of going crazy dealing with baby talk and diapers and all of this stuff. So after about 12 months, she was like, nah, I don't want to be a stay at home mom. But I kind of feel like it's my job. And I know this is probably diving into gender roles because gender roles is weird when you talk about finances because in some ways gender roles don't exist, but in other ways they do. And it's just things that certain people believe in. And I feel like if my wife says she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, it's the responsibility is on me to do what I need to do to make sure we're financially set so that she can do that. And so I kind of feel the same way. And that's kind of how I define financial freedom right now. If I had zero debt, I would be happy, but I don't think I would be any more happy than what I am right now because I'm content with what I am, with who I am, with what I have, and with the plan that I'm doing, with the plan I have to develop myself as a person, with the plan that I have to develop my family, with the plan that I have to win with my finances. And, that's just kind of what it is. So, even though society, want us to be in that cycle, if you stuck in that cycle, you can't take the job you want because you can't afford to take your job you want, just because society want us in that cycle, you could break free from that. You know what I mean? And I know because I've been in that cycle. I've been in that cycle of, trying to impress people. I've been in that cycle of buying things I couldn't afford. I've been in that cycle of I got a whole bunch of nice ass clothes, but I don't got no money in the bank. And when the slightest thing would go wrong with my car, it was an actual headache because I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. But that cycle is something that can be broken. You just have to have a little bit of patience with what you're doing, have a little faith. And if you find one person who can motivate you, who you can talk to about whatever the journey is you want to go on, and you blessed to find that one person. And if you can't find that one person in person, hey, we got a community. You look and see all of these people who are in this chat room, all of the folks who are on YouTube, all the folks on Instagram. I think I probably get more positivity from social media than I get from actual people who I come in personal contact with outside of my humble abode, outside of my palatial estate. I like to call it the palatial estate. And so y'all could do it, do what y'all need to do. Don't even worry about what everybody else thinking. Like I said, if you the weirdo, if you look at things different, if you kind of that outcast, congratulations to you because you're gonna be the one that's gonna change your family tree. You're gonna be the one that's break a generational curse. You could do it. Hey, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I'm probably gonna do a few more. I'm probably gonna do a few more lives like this because I don't know if y'all ever checked out my TikTok. Y'all go and check out my TikTok. I go live on TikTok pretty often, but it's kind of uncensored over there. TikTok, I talk about finances. I talk about rappers who get indicted on RICO charges. But I'm probably gonna go live a little bit more often, broaden things up. But it's always gonna be finance related because that's where I want to see my people win at. Y'all take care. Be blessed. I love y'all. Thank y'all all for tuning in. Peace.